Hey there, Capricorn. Welcome to your reading for June of 2025. This month, you start with this Infinite Possibilities card. It says you're on the right path. Favorable energies are guiding you at this time. That's great. You have this Day and Night card. It says there's current disharmony due to existing differences in some matter. I feel that Capricorn definitely needs to pay attention to existing differences or things that just aren't working, plain and simple, because one thing is that you had Pluto in your sign for a long time. And I think the challenge with that for Capricorn is like holding on to things, holding on to the old ways of doing things and, all that other stuff. So I think that, just opening up to new opportunities, new people, places, and things will be very beneficial for Capricorn. But it still looks like a good reading. You have the Five of Pentacles, the Eight of Swords, and the Star. The Five of Pentacles, I feel like you feel like you're missing out on something, is kind of like how I feel about the Five of Pentacles. You have the Nine of Swords right next to it and the Ten of Wands. I feel like, I'm not calling you out here, Capricorn, but I feel like you're making a bigger deal out of something than it needs to be with that top row there. And so it's like I feel like you're putting too much pressure on something, or like thinking that something is going to require more work than it actually is. So I would be careful of that. The whole point of the Five of Pentacles is to not call attention to your weaknesses. He's wearing this bell around his neck, and the whole point of the bell is that during the olden days, people who are lepers had to wear bells around their necks so that people would know when they were coming down the street. So he is calling attention to a weakness. And the Five of Pentacles says, yeah, there might be a million reasons why you can't do something, or why you feel like you can't accomplish something. But if you focus on your strengths instead, then you will accomplish a lot. You have that Infinite Possibilities card. This hand is reaching towards a star. The whole point of the Star card is possibilities, and we'll talk about that in a second. You have the Eight of Swords. Again, Eight of Swords is very simple to solve. Eight of Swords, she is in self-imposed restriction, but she's holding herself back. She's only looking at one way of doing things when there are many ways that she could accomplish whatever she's trying to accomplish. She just has to open up to other solutions. And so I would definitely say that it would be very beneficial for you here, Capricorn, to open up to all ways of doing everything in your life. And if you do that, I feel you will find a lot of success. She also isn't trusting her intuition. She has this blindfold on, and you also have the Empress. Now, we don't really think of the Empress as intuitive, but she is. She is very intuitive, and we'll talk about that at the end. But, again, I think that your intuition is trying to get you to do something, and you need to do it. So what is your intuition trying to get you to do? Trying to get you to get to the Star. You have the Star, which is amazing. But the Star, we have to move towards this one star. And we have to ignore the 7 other stars that are around it, basically. Sometimes I think when we want to do something in life, we think that there are certain requirements that we have to do. And I feel like I said this to you recently, Capricorn, but you have the Eight of Pentacles right next to the Star. The thing about the Eight of Pentacles, it is just a very straightforward process. It's like, do this, get that. It's like a very straightforward thing to be doing. With the Star, it's a very good card, but, those other stars might be her thinking like, oh, before I can start this business, I have to, take care of all these other things, right? And so the Star wants us to focus on the Star. And that's it, and wants us to go for the gold, right? Or go for the goal and get it accomplished. She's also pouring this water here onto the land, and that water is coming from the pool of universal consciousness here. And so what this says is that what's possible for one person is possible for everyone. This water is pouring out into the world. So I think you need to stop underestimating yourself. That's what I feel like you're doing in that top row. This right here. It's almost like you're making something harder than it needs to be when it could just be very straightforward and simple. It's going to require work, whatever you're trying to accomplish here. But, the Empress is about keeping things simple, which we'll talk about as well. But, again, I think this is saying don't overcomplicate something. The Star, sometimes we are inspired because the Star, we can see someone doing something that we want to do. And that's the inspiration that we get from the Star. It's like the universe is saying hey, this person is doing something that you want to do with your life. If they can do it, you can do it. And that is kind of what I feel on that Star card. So let's see. With the Five of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups is about following your heart, and which again, clearly you are being told. Like it, I feel like I don't know if you're being told or if you're being inspired or guided to do something, but it could be connected to your heart. Like you feel that heart-based pull where you really want something or you really want to be doing something in your life. And I feel like the Queen of Cups is definitely saying, well, like follow your heart. You will be happy that you did. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Eight of Swords. You have the Page of Pentacles. I just think the Page of Pentacles is saying it's time for something new for Capricorn. I feel that, like I said, letting go of the past energies. And, the other thing is like letting go of the struggle. I think that for the past 20 years, everything that you've wanted has probably required a lot of extra work. But now it's time to change that. And it's time to say, like, maybe things don't have to be a struggle all the time. Maybe I don't have to be climbing these big mountains constantly as a Capricorn. Maybe I could, come up with a simple plan to follow. And it's still going to be work, but maybe not as much work. And I feel like that's what you have to learn. The Page of Pentacles is a card of studiousness. So we have to learn something with it. And I feel like that's what you are learning. It's like you're learning to make your life easier. With the Star, you have the Three of Pentacles. Yes, let people help you. Trust me, I get it. I have a crap ton of Capricorn in my chart. I basically am a Capricorn, as I always say. And, it took, my mother had to beg me to hire my first assistant, right? I'm so glad I did because I probably wouldn't have gotten most of the stuff that I've gotten done. I just want to do, I'm the type of person I want to do everything myself, really. But what I realized is I was making my life very, very difficult, and I actually wasn't getting anything done. So, it's like sometimes we have to get help. Sometimes we have to ask for help. And, when we allow other people to help us, they get to share in our victories. And that is true abundance. True abundance is not doing things on your own. True abundance is also allowing other people to share in the victory. And so I think a lot of you are maybe realizing that. And I'm not saying you have to hire an employee or anything. This could just be asking for help. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have the Spirit card. It says unseen forces watch over you. You have this Key card. It says locked doors can now be open. The struggle, right? Like always having to fight for things. The Key card is saying that those doors are now open, things that used to be difficult. But I feel like some of you are still living like things can't happen. And so I think you need to open those doors. I feel like the Spirit card is saying, the universe is calling you to something. You have the Judgment card coming up in your next row. And the Judgment card is kind of like a call to purpose, usually. But it can also be like the universe is calling you up to do something or is asking you to take action on things in your life. And I feel that would be very beneficial if you listen. You have the Nine of Swords, the Knight of Swords, and the Eight of Pentacles. Something has to change with the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords, to me, it's the worst card in the tarot. Although I don't really look at tarot as positive or negative. To me, tarot is loose guidance at best for your life. But the Nine of Swords is kind of like just a never-ending nightmare. That's not really what I feel for you, Capricorn. The more the energy that I feel for Capricorn is, I feel like there are things, like it feels very specific. It feels like there are things that you want to do, and I feel like the Nine of Swords is time. Like, I feel that you could be thinking to yourself, I'm out of time, I'm not going to have enough time, I'm not going to have enough time to enjoy this, or, with whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So I kind of feel like that's what the Nine of Swords is talking about, is like the fear of not having enough time, or the fear that you've already run out of time, or something like that. And so the Nine of Swords wants us to do something about it. The Nine of Swords wants us to get out of bed and take action or, do something different so that we can make things happen. And that's what I would do here. You have the Knight of Swords, fear. The first word that popped into my head when I put this card down was fear. The Nine of Swords can be fierce, but the Knight of Swords we don't usually look at as fear. The thing is that I feel sometimes that the Knight of Swords is getting to a certain point in a reading. He's getting to the Page of Wands, and then he's getting scared and he's running back to the past. So in this case, it would be running back to Eight of Swords. The thing about the Eight of Swords is it can be a little bit of a comfort zone, like she's stuck, but she knows everything about her situation that she's stuck in. And, I feel like the Knight of Swords is saying that there could be some sort of fear that's preventing you from going on an adventure. And I feel it would be so much better for you, Capricorn, to embrace the adventure with that Page of Wands. because obviously it's going to lead to the Empress, which is very good. And, this could be any type of fear. Like maybe you're thinking about starting a business or, getting a new career or doing something different in your life. And the Knight of Swords is saying, like, if you charge through that Page of Wands, you're going to attract a bunch of abundance, or you're going to attract a bunch of success. So I would keep pushing. The other thing is like sometimes I think we think that we're afraid to do something. And so we think to ourselves, I'm afraid of this. So, I probably shouldn't do it because that's what my inner guidance is telling me. But maybe it's not really fear. Maybe you think it is, but maybe it's really excitement or something different. You have the Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, this is going to be a very straightforward process. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think you could be shocking yourself at this time with, I don't want to say the word simple or easy because whenever I do, people always say to me, I was sitting on my couch for the last 6 weeks. You said I would be a millionaire and I'm not. I'm like, well, I never said that. I would never say that on this channel, number one. And number two, obviously you have to put in work. So I have to be very careful with my words, but what I would say here is, yeah, obviously, this is going to be work, but what I would say is that I feel that you could be surprised at how simple things are and how simple things go. I think what Capricorn is used to is having like these complex solutions where they have to solve a bunch of problems and overcome a bunch of issues, and, projects take longer, things don't happen, things just fall apart, all that. But it's like whatever this is that you're trying to accomplish, whatever the star is, whatever the infinite possibilities are, I feel it's going to be much easier if you get started. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Judgment card. Yeah, it's like the universe is trying to call you out of bed here. The universe, this is your higher self angel. And so clearly your higher self is calling you to action or calling you up out of your old life. The whole point of the Judgment card is that they're being lifted out of their old life and they're stepping in their new life. But on the Judgment card, these people are still standing in their coffins. So the thing that's holding them back is the past, right? And so this whole reading is definitely saying it's time to release the past. With the Knight of Swords, you have the High Priestess. Very intuitive reading. We said it on that Eight of Swords that the solution would be trusting your intuition. Sometimes I think our intuition doesn't make sense. It's, sometimes your intuition could be like, start a business, and maybe you have a job, and you're like, I can't leave my job. So it's like sometimes following your intuition can be a little scary. But guess what? The High Priestess also represents ultimate or infinite possibilities. She has no roof over her head. And so the High Priestess is the card of unlimited potential. There's nothing that can stop her from accomplishing what she wants to accomplish. The only thing that can stop her is her. So I definitely feel it's time to go for it here, Capricorn. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Six of Cups. Six of Cups is a card of innocence and nostalgia. Six of Cups can also be a gift from the universe. And usually the gift we receive from the Six of Cups is a turnaround. So meaning that we are normally we get the Six of Cups, we're like bumping up against an obstacle. And then when we get the Six of Cups, we can move past that obstacle. So a lot of you could be kind of like getting the gift of overcoming obstacles or removing obstacles, which we've kind of already said in this reading. You have 3 cards in your next row for messages from your future self. You have a Stag Spirit. It says, take the lead. Capricorn is definitely going to be one of the leaders in the future, so anything you can take the lead on, I think would be a good idea. You have this Cat Spirit. It says, claim your independence, and you have this Otter Spirit. It says, you are never alone. Yeah, I mean, I think Capricorns are very independent, but you could be claiming your independence. The You Are Never Alone card could say that there are a lot of people who want to support you. You can be independent and be supported as well. Never in my life have I met a person. It's like I find that most people who brag about independence aren't very independent. So, I see this a lot where people will be like, I refuse to ask for help from anyone, and I'm so independent. I'm like, and you look at their life, and their life is a mess, right? So again, independence does not mean you're alone. And it doesn't mean that you never ask for help. To me, truly independent people ask for help all the time because they realize that they can't do everything, right? And so I feel like that's what you're doing here. You have the Ten of Wands, the Page of Wands, and the Judgment card. The universe is really asking you to release the struggle. The Ten of Wands, personally, I like the Ten of Wands because he is very close to reaching his home. This is his harvest that he is carrying. So he is about to have a harvest when he reaches his home in the background here. But he does need to release the harvest, right, once he gets there. So I do feel a lot of you are very close to achieving something. It's like, I feel like you have to, it's like there's something in your life where, like, if you would just go that extra mile, like that little bit, will make all the difference in the world. I wish I had a good example for you here. It's like you are committing, like, I feel like you are committing, but it's like you're not committing, you're not making the full commitment to something here. And I really can't explain that. It's, if you're like working on a project, it's like maybe you're doing it, but it's like there's something that I think would really kind of make that full commitment for you here, Capricorn, and that's what I would be focusing on. We'll see what comes up, but I wish I had more detail for you on that one. You have the Page of Wands. Page of Wands is about going on the adventure. Like I said, I feel this scares you a little bit. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's like, the fear of whether or not you're going to be able to follow through on something is kind of popping into my head here. So I feel a lot of you have a goal with the infinite possibilities and the star card, but there could be some fears around like whether or not you will reach the finish line. And I kind of feel like instead of looking at it as something that you have to accomplish, like if you could look at it as just something that you will enjoy or just, enjoy the journey, I feel that could help you a lot with the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands doesn't really have a good reason for going on the adventure he's going on. He just, wants to go on an adventure. He's following his bliss. He's following his enthusiasm and what he thinks will make him happy. And so I feel if you do that, that will probably lead to a lot more happiness and joy and, peace coming into your life here. So that's what I would do. You have the Judgment card. Judgment is like a wake-up call. I definitely feel you could be receiving, like I get more of that feeling. I look at the Judgment card as a good card. I feel this will be a good wake-up call, but it's definitely pushing me in that direction of this being like some sort of wake-up call or some sort of like understanding that you're gaining this month. It feels good to me. Like you could be just like waking up and realizing the actions you need to take and the things that you need to do in your life. So, like I said, I think it's a good thing. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Five of Wands. Competition, yes, definitely. This comes up for you now in every single reading. I feel you need to ignore competition. I also think you need to realize, like, what you went through over the last 20 years. It's like, imagine... It's like, I feel like Capricorn is one of the, like, Navy SEALs of the Zodiac right now. It's like what you've went through is like you went through the Navy SEALs training, right? It's like what everybody else went through. It's like, everybody else might be complaining and say, oh, I've had such a hard time and all this other stuff. But they were just like in the regular Navy, right? And it's like you're like a Navy SEAL. But it's like you're still acting like you're in the Navy. You were just in the Navy. It's like if you were to go to battle with just a regular Navy sailor and you were a Navy SEAL, you would smoke them, right? And I feel like that's what Capricorn needs to realize. It's like you might be looking at competition for something you want, and you're thinking like, oh, my skills aren't good enough. It's like no, actually, what you went through is like 20 times harder than what anyone else had to. So your skills are actually much farther above everybody else's. But no one is going to know that, and you're not going to know that unless you take action on like whatever you're trying to accomplish here. So again, I think maybe you need. It's almost like you need to shock yourself by doing this, by doing whatever you're trying to do here. With the Page of Wands, you have the Lovers. Yeah, it could be love coming in for you. Doesn't really look like a love reading as usual, but, this is a little bit of love here. So and that could be what you're afraid of. It's like maybe you're afraid something won't go the distance or whatever, but there could be a very strong connection. Definitely going to be an adventure. Like if you're attracting love into your life, I feel this is going to be something that's like a journey for sure, but probably a good one. With the Judgment card, you have the Nine of Pentacles, more independence, right? So the Nine of Pentacles is all about being independent, being able to take care of yourself. But again, she's not afraid to ask for help. She's also very focused. She has this Falcon right here. And so I think you focusing on exactly what you want is what you need to do. Nine of Pentacles is a very good card. It can represent gratitude and luxuries. So it can say that you are attracting like the nicer things in your life. The other thing is we go from the Nine of Pentacles to the Empress, which is like a little bit of a glow up. Nine of Pentacles is pre-Empress energy. So a lot of you could be kind of having some sort of glow up here, which is nice. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this Love card. So there could be love. You have this Slow It Down card as well. Yeah, there's no rush. I said it on that Nine of Swords that I feel like time is an issue, or I don't know. there's like something about time that's popping into my head with that Nine of Swords, where it's like you could be feeling like you're out of time, or you're too old or too young or whatever. And I feel like you need to realize you have plenty of time to do what you want to do. I think love in general with this reading is a really good energy for you, as in it doesn't have to be a person. The Page of Wands, he focuses on desire, things that will bring him joy, happiness, peace, abundance. And so, like, focusing on those good things could be very beneficial for you, for sure, with this energy. And I would. You have the Five of Swords, the Empress, and the Temperance card. Five of Swords is about taking a risk. I think every single reading that you've had over the past couple weeks has been saying it's time for Capricorn to like really take that risk of putting themselves out there and to take that risk to do, accomplish that star goal that you think is really hard. It probably won't be. I think you're going to discover that you have more than enough strength to overcome something and to deal with something and to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish here. So I definitely feel you could be doing that. You have the Empress. The Empress is like total abundance, total success, definitely glow up vibes here. So some of you could be having a little bit of a glow up here. The Empress is definitely a card of being attractive as well. So if you're looking for love, I would definitely put yourself out there and get attention. But the Empress is about ease. All she has to do is wave that scepter in front of her and the wheat in front of her will grow. We talked about this at the beginning. I think keeping things simple, doing things the simple way, straightforward. Eight of Pentacles is straightforward, to the point energy. He follows a plan. He just knows if I keep working on these 8 Pentacles, I'll get a result. And that is definitely the Empress. So whatever you're building or working on, straightforward, to the point energy. And if you do that, you will build abundance. Next, you have the Temperance card. I feel like you're changing your own life. Temperance is alchemy, turning one thing into another. And I feel that you are really trying to turn your life around. You have that Six of Cups. And like I said, Six of Cups is like a gift from the universe where you could be doing things to turn your life around or, to create more success. And that's what I would be focusing on with that Six of Cups. With the Five of Swords, you have the Devil. The Devil is you, Capricorn. Really, technically, the Devil is Saturn in Capricorn, but whatever. It is your energy, so I feel like this could just be you showing up in a very strong position, which is good. The other thing that's popping into my head here, Capricorn, is, like, if you want love, you could be fearing that if you do allow love into your life, that they're going to take your independence. But really, you could be attracting someone who's just as independent as you. So, again, I wouldn't be, like, worrying too much about that. With the Empress card, you have the Ace of Pentacles. This could be a very abundant opportunity that's coming in for you. It feels like a wake-up call to me, where it's like sometimes, like Ace of Pentacles is the hand of God reaching out with this offer right here. That's not really what it feels like to me. It feels like a wake-up call where you have like a realization on what steps you need to take. So, it's like a little bit different. And I would pay attention to that. Like if you all of a sudden have that feeling, that warm and fuzzy feeling in your body about an idea or a direction that you want to move in, I would really trust those feelings with the Ace of Pentacles because, I feel like they are leading to something greater. With the Temperance card, you have the Knight of Swords again. So again, don't run away from something. But Knight of Swords in the good stuff can represent something that is taking off very quickly. So it can say that that something will move much faster than you think, which is kind of what we've been saying, is that something is probably going to happen faster than you think. You have this Elephant card. This is a good one for you. It says, a long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser at the end. Page of Wands. Page of Wands might be your most important card here in this reading. Because, again, I think that the challenge based off your last 20 years is thinking that you have to know how something is going to go. The Page of Wands he's clueless. He has no freaking clue how something is going to turn out. But that's not the point. He just likes going on adventures. He doesn't need an outcome to look a certain way. And so I think that just enjoying the journey, as cliche as that sounds, is what you need to do. You have this Shield card that says you need to defend yourself. Having boundaries. You do have the Devil, even though it's coming up in the good stuff. I think there is a little bit of a toxic vibe going on right now. And definitely, Neptune and Aries, Saturn and Aries, could definitely bring out some toxic vibes from people. So make sure you're protecting yourself. You have this purse card that says pay attention to your finances. I feel like your finances are improving, but sometimes when our finances improve, we spend it. So I feel this is saying, make sure that you're holding on to a little bit of money. You have this rabbit card that says too much concern with sexual matters. I would be careful of anyone who's like that right now, especially with all the Aries energy. I would just make sure that if you're getting into something, unless that's what you want, which is perfectly fine. No hate here. But again, if you want something serious and, a person is coming in like a little rabbit, then, that might be a problem. So I think you should pay attention. You have this egg card. It says success assured with good plans and hard work. Well, that is literally the entire reading, right there. It says, as long as you follow the plan, the Eight of Pentacles, you will have abundance, Empress, right? Plain and simple. So a pretty straightforward reading here, Capricorn. I don't think this is a good month. I don't think this is a bad month. I feel like it's a straightforward month. That's the best way I could describe it. So it looks good. There's good stuff here. So thank you for being here and definitely enjoy your month.